The other week, I saw this video by Awesome599 where they won every stadium event in the original Air Ride using just the Formula Star. I thought it'd be interesting to try a similar challenge in Air Riders, except instead of winning every stadium, I will be clearing 100 checkboxes in the Air Ride mode checklist. A quick crash course on the Formula Star. It has among the lowest charge and boost in the game, so it takes ages to accelerate to its top speed, but it compensates for this by not being able to turn either. Wait. Its saving grace is having the highest top speed of any non-legendary machine in the game. Let's get into the challenge. I will clear 100 checkboxes in Air Ride mode using only the Formula Star. My plan of attack is to go through each course and get as many checkboxes in each of them. I opted to run Café because they can actually make the Formula Star usable. Café's high boost and turn is able to compensate for the Formula Star's weaknesses. One of the biggest problems with the Formula Star is that getting hit is devastating, since it needs to build up its speed again. But Café doesn't slow down when hit, so long as it has its cap on. Honestly, you should only use the Formula Star if you're running Café. We pick up a few checkboxes that any machine can get, like star sliding for 4 seconds and finishing a lap without bumping into the walls. Now here's where a major weakness of the Formula Star shows up. It cannot fly at all. This is a problem since a lot of checkboxes involve flying onto objects. In this case, I need to fly over the goalpost. My first idea for how to tackle this was with Susie. Susie is bait. Her passive gives her a decent initial lift, but it is never enough to clear any of these flying checkboxes. And if you're in any attacking animation, such as star spitting, then it won't even activate. My next idea was Starman. With Starman's special, they can go airborne at will, but I need to time it for when I reach the goal gate. On my first attempt, I got it at lap 2. I don't know if it needs to be the final lap or not, but I just reset anyway and changed the rules. I'll try to avoid changing the rules if I think it'll trivialize a checkbox too much, otherwise I'll only be doing it for convenience. Anyway, specials like Starman is the only way to get any airtime with the Formula Star. I might attempt this challenge in the original Air Ride at some point, because I won't have any character gimmicks to bail me out there. And with that, Flurry Fields was done. It was easy enough, so I started to feel pretty confident about the challenge. Next up, Wave Flow Waters. I had a few goals in mind: knock over the parasols, defeat a Skype in one hit, and drive through the water rings. Wow, this machine is awful. For those who have never played a Kirby Air Ride, machines generally bounce off of or slide along walls, but the Formula Star just stopped instantly. Anyway, these water rings are never happening, since I can't fly, so I just gave up immediately. As for the rest of the race, a pity UFO showed up, I took out Skype in one hit, sent the parasols flying, and was able to finish 2 laps in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, getting me a good amount of checkboxes. Overall, a pretty easy going course. Now for Airtopia Ruins. Wait a sec, I forgot to ask people to subscribe. Fuck my life, I'm in the middle of exporting. Yeah, if you've been enjoying the video so far, subscribe please. God damn it. This was when I remembered there are tons of character-specific checkboxes. The most important of these is Kirby's, where I have to defeat a total of 10 enemies using their Ultra Sword special. I don't have to do this in one race, so this will just be something I chip away at. Unfortunately, it means I'll have to retire Cappy for a bit. One of the checkboxes is driving through 4 boost rings, which is going to be pretty awkward with the formula. Wow, okay, never mind, I'm talented. Holy shit, I did it twice. And with that, I picked up 3 more checkboxes. Now for Crystalline Fissure. Since I've 100%ed Air Ride already, I know that this course has a checkbox where you place 3rd or better as what it'll do. I also already know that I need to glide for 3 continuous seconds, which means I'm forced to play this track again with Starman. Fortunately, I placed 4th because the Formula Star sucks complete dick. So now I need to play this course 3 times, great. Actually, it's probably me that sucks because I pretty easily got 1st on my 2nd attempt. Helps that I didn't have to think about other checkboxes this time and could just focus on racing. After that, I quickly grabbed the flying checkbox with Starman Special, and it's on to the next course, Steam Gust Forge. There's a bit of a spike in difficulty here since this course has a lot more windy turns. There's a lot of easy checkboxes here, such as dodging the lava, boosting off the steam, and destroying boxes. I also found out there's a noddy here that I can use to put the other racers to sleep, which should also be a pretty easy check. Never mind, the Formula Star will just slam me into a wall every time. Ooh. Anyway, the problematic checkbox here was flying over the goal gate. I had to reattempt this course since I wasn't able to time my special with the end of the lap. Let's see if I can put someone to sleep. Yeah, my audience! This time I got my special in time for the goal, and Steam Gust is done. Overall, that might have been the easiest track so far. Where's my checkbox? Okay, I guess that didn't count. That's really awesome. I tried it again with Meta Knight to see if that mattered. Wait, any sleepers? No. This time I focused on building up my special, so that I could fly onto the steam engine on lap 1, and then on lap 2 fly over the goal. I completely beeped it and had to try again. Chef Kawasaki drove straight into the wall with me, so he fell asleep. This time my idea was to lose my special at the last second, since maybe the checkbox didn't count if I was in my special. Yeah, look, I don't know what the deal is with this checkbox. Guess we're doing Cavernous Corners now. It's a long course with a lot of enemies, so I figured this was a good time to do King DDD's checkbox, where I have to defeat enemies with his hammer. The problems with the Formula Star are really coming into play now. In the earlier courses, the roads were pretty wide, so I had enough space to take corners. These are extremely narrow roads though, with very tight turns, so it's impossible to avoid hitting the walls. But probably the worst part is this section with the geysers. This section demonstrates every problem with the Formula Star. It can't turn, so it's hard to dodge the geysers, and if I do run into them, I'm brought to a complete halt, and I have to spend like 10 seconds building up my speed again. Really awful. Anyway, I get a pity Jermaine and remember that Lo 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 and La 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 have a checkbox on this course, so I grabbed that as well. Oh yeah, the Formula Star can't clear this gap if you forget to hold back on the control stick, or if you just don't have enough speed. I noticed there's a checkbox for clearing the course in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, so I started attempting that. I've cleared these time attack checkboxes in the other courses because the time limit is pretty generous, so this shouldn't be too difficult. GG's, go next. I tried Rick next because he's fast and has a good special, but heavyweights on the Formula Star is basically unplayable. Next idea was Starman, since I might as well go for the secret cave checkbox that can only be reached by flying, and maybe it'll save enough time for me to beat the timer, but I hit too many geysers and fell off at the boulders. I tried Café, which was basically the same story. Looking back at this footage, I was actually pretty close to beating it if I just didn't hit all those geysers. So this is probably a lot more doable than I realized at the time. I tried Chef Kawasaki, since it's easy to get speed boosts using their ladle. I tried Cappy again and actually did a decent job of dodging the geysers, but that still wasn't enough. Honestly, the fact that this checkbox is so difficult really speaks volumes to how flawed this machine is. I noticed how much time I've wasted on this one checkbox, and realized there are plenty of other checkboxes I could be grabbing instead, so I just moved on to Siberian Highway. This is a really simple course. The checkboxes are easily achievable with any machine, including one where you just play as Meta Knight, and the section where you change sizes is a nice change of pace, since when you're small you get way better acceleration in turn, and when you're big... Yeah, never take the big route. That said, I had to attempt this course twice, because the CPUs were complete bastards to me with these switches. Next is Mount Amber Falls. The main problematic checkbox here is one where you need to stay in the lead for 60 seconds. I honest to god think this is impossible in Formula Star, unless you change the CPU's handicap or add additional laps, which I felt was against the spirit of the challenge. Overall, pretty straightforward. On to Galactic Nova. There's a few long straightaways on this track that the Formula Star shines in. I honestly think I played very well in Galactic Nova and got every checkbox I went for. Time for the classic air ride courses, starting with Fantasy Meadows. This was also completely fine. I went Starman for the secret cave and then ran it back with Kirby to try to win without boosting. And somehow I actually did it. But next up might be the worst course in the whole run, Celestial Valley. Basically every checkbox involves flying in some way, like flying onto a tree, floating rocks, onto grind whales, Jesus Christ, onto grind whale, onto grind. This is the actual ultimate challenge of this run. Recording voiceover as someone with the speech impediment of roticism. Like flying onto a tree, floating rocks, onto grind rails, above grind rails. This immediately becomes apparent as I come face to face with a problem. These rails on the bridge. I thought that the little ramp beforehand would be enough to let me fly onto it, but boy was I mistaken. Once again, I get baited into thinking Susie's passive would be sufficient. And this time the bait is actually extremely high quality, because on my first attempt I got pretty close to landing on the rails, which gave me the motivation to keep attempting this dog shit idea. My next attempt was even closer. And at the time I didn't recognize it was only close because of me landing a star spit on Deroche. Here I accidentally fall off the ledge, which gave me a surprising amount of aerial lift. What I didn't recognize was that I received a boost from the perfect landing off the ramp beforehand. So I kept attempting this by just driving off the edge and completely ignored the ramp. In hindsight, this was probably completely achievable, Susie, albeit very annoying. Eventually I moved on and attempted other checkboxes. I didn't think I'd be able to land on a floating rock, but I forgot that it's actually below the ramp, so I just needed to fall onto it. Then I used Starman's special to fly onto the tree, and then it was just smooth sailing for me, being sure to avoid every rail for another checkbox. So either I'm a moron and accidentally rode onto a rail, or these river rapids at the end also count as a rail. These are unavoidable for the Formula Star. I set the course to 1 lap since I didn't think I'd be able to build 2 specials in time for both river sections, and was able to barely fly over it. Unfortunately, this meant I accidentally cheesed the time attack finish in 1 minute and 35 seconds checkbox, so I'm officially changing this challenge to the 101 checkboxes Formula Star challenge. Finally, I run through the course one more time for the win in 2 laps checkbox, and now we head over to Sky Sands. Sky Sands is comprised entirely of checkboxes involving pretty straightforward tasks, like driving through secret paths or breaking coral. So the shittiness of the Formula Star had no bearing here. Wait, is that a noddy? I can use that to cross the finish line while asleep. Never mind, the shittiness of the Formula Star is inevitable. I also finally got the Ultra Sword checkbox with Kirby, so I could now go for the Players Every Character checkbox. Frozen Hillside time. Seriously, what is wrong with this machine? I didn't even know you could come to a complete stop in this game without player input, not including the Bulk Star or the Hydra. This machine is so fucked up, bruh. Skyfree couldn't make this jump, so once again I was baited into Susie, and holy shit, it actually worked. I still had to line up the angle right, otherwise I would just slide off. But yeah, Susie, well done. Anyway, once I made it onto the platform, I cracked all the ice, drove through the rings, inhaled 2 of the same enemy, and cleared the level without driving over any buttons. No, 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 no! Like Sky Sands, Magma Flows was another course that just involved really basic tasks. I did run through it again with Skyfree though, since I figured I could get the get mad 2 times in a single race checkbox. For those that are in trouble with this checkbox, yes, it's using your special twice, not getting hit and put into your angry state twice. Really poorly worded checkbox in my opinion. Onto Beanstalk Park. This was easy. Onto Machine Passage. This was shit. When you're driving a machine that can't turn, how are you supposed to reliably destroy 5 fan blades without reversing? I tried using Plasma, but it doesn't interact with the blades. I tried Lololo and Lalala's giant block. Went left, goddammit. I tried Crash Kirby. None of these interact with the blades. You actually have to drive through them, or hit them directly. And then it hit me. The checkbox says, without reversing. So if I just creep into these really slowly, maybe that will count? I also luckily got Missile and barely overtook 2 races. Now for Checkernights, and dude, look how well the Formula Star took this turn. If you didn't know, Ice, Water, and probably some others have different traction from other surfaces. So Formula Star is way more usable if you're able to take advantage of these slippery surfaces. This also explains why it's weirdly difficult to get these patches on the island in the sky with all the water. I imagine the freeze ability can also help with turns on the Formula Star. Once again I go Starman since the Formula Star has no chance at going over this wall at the... How the fuck did it do that? And now for what I think is the hardest, most miserable course in this challenge. Nebula Belt. Nah, I'm fucking around. This was a completely anticlimactic end to the challenge. And with that, we managed to actually get more than 100 checkboxes with just the Formula Star. Before I end the video, I want to offer some closing thoughts. I was really harsh on the Formula Star throughout this video, but honestly, as long as you use Cappy, it's pretty usable. It's still insane that it requires a specific character to make use out of it, but hey, it's something. The actual main challenge of this run was all the flying checkboxes. And if you're just playing this game for races rather than doing stupid niche challenges, you can just race normally, stay grounded, and probably do fine on this thing. It's still crazy that I couldn't beat Cavernous Corners though, so maybe one of you guys can do it. As for the challenge itself, I think it might be a bit more challenging to try this in the original Air Ride, since that game doesn't have any specials, so it would be a lot more difficult to actually clear these flying checkboxes. There's also half as many courses, so I can't rely on the really easy course-specific checkboxes like destroying Coral in Sky Sands or placing third in Crystalline Fissure. I might attempt this challenge in City Trial as well. No idea if it'd be any harder or easier than the Air Ride mode challenge. Anyway, it was fun driving with something I usually try to avoid. So thanks for watching, subscribe for more Kirby, see you next time, bye bye.